So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Allie or Allison. I am currently the chair, technically the third chair that there has been over the past term, which is fine. This will be my second bout at chair. I will be finished on the board after tonight's meeting. I've been on the board for 6 years. And so many things have changed, so many things have happened. It's all very exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens from the outside going forward in the next few years. I think we're starting to see a lot of the strategic ideas and directions. I think they'll come to fruition in the next few years, so I'm very excited. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I will be chairing the meeting tonight. Obviously, we're not in the same place, so if Graham interrupts me because I'm doing something wrong, just please forgive me. He's allowed to interrupt me because, you know, otherwise I'll just go off course and do whatever I want. So with that, I'm going to officially call the AGM meeting to order at 7:08 p.m. I think Graham covered like a little bit of the housekeeping items. If you want to ask a question, please feel free. You can use your little raise hand toggle at the bottom. And then this will also be live streamed on Facebook for non-voting members. So if they have questions, they can submit those there, and we will be asked and have some lovely answers, I'm sure. And that's about it. So just to start with the agenda, first order on there is to approve the agenda, which was sent out yesterday. I'm just going to note one thing on there, time change to 7 p.m. So that will be noted in the minutes. But please vote if you are in favor of approving the agenda for the 2020 annual general meeting.
We will need someone to move that forward and then a seconder as well.
Yes. Is this going to disappear, this poll, right away if we don't click it?
No.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Oh, okay, good. So if someone wants to make that motion, you can raise your hand. I can see most people. Mallory, and a seconder. Anita. All right. And then everybody just make sure. Trina, can I click out of mine, or do I have to click? Because I don't think I'm allowed to vote. I'm just going to click in favor and just know you have one in favor.
Yeah.
Technically. I don't think it really matters, but just to be legitimate.
We can tally the votes after to ensure that
if it's a concern. Okay, sounds
yeah.
good. You know me, I am very by the book. All right, so if all looks well there, any questions on the agenda before I announce that carried? Good. All right. Perfect. Excellent. That is officially carried. Perfect. It's doing my job for me. All right. Next order of business is the minutes from our last AGM, which was not too long ago, given the pandemic. We had to have it in September, so it was only a few short, I don't know what that is, 8 months ago.
I'm not sure.
Anyone have any questions, comments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to be made to approve the 2019 annual general meeting minutes. Paul? And second, Jane? All right, and then if everyone could vote on their handy dandy poll. Good, looks good. And anyone have any questions before we?
I have a question.
Sure.
We should count as two, even though we're only voting as one, because we're both members, but we only have one
That is
screen.
correct.
So
That makes sense, Vivian. We'll note that.
thanks, Trina. Or we could just cancel out somebody else's.
No, that's perfect. We'll make sure to have 2 attendees as well when we do the minutes. All right,
just so
looks
you
like
get
that.
the right numbers.
Looks like that motion passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is the reports, chair report from me. I don't have an official report, to be honest with you. I just said I was going to talk for 5 minutes, but I won't. I just wanted to extend thanks to Graham and the team. I know even just at our last AGM, things were kind of looking up in the fall with the pandemic, and we were kind of felt maybe like a little bit of breathing room, and then it just continued on from there. But the team has done such a great job at keeping everybody safe, keeping us open, if anything, improving efficiencies and time within the shelter and the staff, just because we've had to make changes on how we operate to be safe. And if anything, I think some positive things have come from that. You know, we've had a little bit of odd breathing room to take a step back and analyze what we could. And yeah, just pass that on to the staff and appreciate all the hard work and commitment. I think that we're very fortunate that we didn't see a lot of staff loss and things like that during the pandemic, and also the animals. We had a lot of adoptions right at the height of COVID, and there was no drastic measures that had to be taken in order to get the organization through. So yeah, and as far as from the board, you know, we kind of we didn't put any strategic or operational changes in Graham's hands while he was handling a global pandemic. So we're looking forward for the next few years. Like I said, we've had a few things kind of on the table for the last few years, and I feel like we have the right team and people in place to get those started, while also just improving the day-to-day. And you know, we have amazing people that work at the shelter, and I'm very excited about how everything is going to keep going. So that's my chair report officially. I will pass it over to Graham, who is way more official than me, to give his executive director report.
I'm going to try to keep it a little more casual this time. No, obviously 2020 was a challenging year for everyone. I don't think I need to go into too much detail as to why that was, but I tried to put together what I felt was sort of the most important pieces of information that our members should know about onto one page. I hope you all received that yesterday. If not, let me know. I'll be happy to share it with you. And of course, if you have questions for me at any point, please email me, call me, reach out. I really enjoyed chatting with people about the shelter, so it's never an inconvenience. Last year, I came on early March, about a week or two before the pandemic really hit. We started laying people off. January, February, and March, we actually had tremendously high numbers of animals in the shelter, and then within a few weeks, went down to almost nothing. It was a real roller coaster of a year. But we chose to be optimists and use that as an opportunity, as a gift to, during that slow time when there was few animals here, to sort of assess how we go about our business and trying to find ways to better serve the community. So I'd like to think that we're coming out of this pandemic in better shape than we went into it, which is great. We've got a retooled team, and I feel like we've got some really exciting initiatives that we're going to roll out this year that I'm excited to talk to you about. So maybe I'll start with some of the animal statistics. As I mentioned last year, we had a really above normal number of animals in-house, and then immediately the numbers dropped in April down to about almost 50 animals, and our numbers didn't really level off for about 6 months. Took 6 months to get back to what would be seasonally normal. Overall, our intake only dropped about 15%. So we usually have about 4,000 animals come through the shelter in a year. In 2020, we had 3,400, give or take. And of those, we were able to rehome, return, or adopt 2,659 animals, which I'm very proud of. And we always a debt of gratitude to the public who came out and adopted animals when we really needed to clear the shelter at the height of the pandemic, when we weren't really sure what the future had in stock for us and whether or not we were actually going to be able to keep our doors open. We had tremendous amount of positive response from the public. So thank you to all of you who came out and helped us at that time. Our animal enforcement officers were busy as usual. It was a kind of a normal year for them all in all. We had almost 1,000 cruelty complaints that we responded to. 102 animals were seized and 305 animals were surrendered. And I have to give a special shout out to our animal protection officers because they really deal with some difficult and problematic situations. And the fact that a quarter of the animals were seized and the other 3/4 were surrendered is a testament to their ability to work with people, because it's not, the difference between an animal being seized and surrendered is that the owner complies and understands that it is in the animal's best interest to come to the shelter. So for our APOs to be able to reason with people in that way is really a testament to their skill. So shout out to them in particular. There's three, I like to think of the 3 pillars of our organization that we talk about in our mission statement, and that's adoption, enforcement, and education. So the third piece that I really want to talk about was education. A big part of what we did previous to 2020 was go into schools and have the Paw Pals program where kids could write into an animal and get a letter back in response. And there was a real focus on youth-oriented education. Obviously we weren't able to do that in 2020. We weren't going to send our staff into schools and the schools weren't going to have us come in. So again, we just took that as an opportunity to reassess what our role as educators is. And we really focused our attention inwards and decided to build an educational curriculum for our staff and for our volunteers. Sort of taking the approach that we will advance our mission one person at a time, one interaction at a time. So now when new staff get hired on, they go through a standardized training process. They're going to have knowledge and skills they'll take with them into their next job, wherever they end up. Same with our volunteers. We have a big turnover of staff and volunteers, and if we can impart on them a philosophy of humane treatment for animals, then we're winning. We've got ambassadors out in the community. And on top of that, it's only going to improve our operations, and it already has made some significant positive differences. So I'm very excited about that. And so when we are able to open up to the public again, we are going to have some volunteer programs that are a bit more structured than they have been in the past. And a lot of that will be built on educating the volunteers to do very specific tasks, to do whatever it is they've come to volunteer to do with competency and confidence, which is exciting. Financially, I'm really happy to say that all in all, we did quite well. Our programs and services that we normally generate revenues from dropped about 30%, which is to be expected. We can't do any puppy training classes, things of that nature, due to social distancing restrictions. So a 30% drop was sort of inevitable, but we were really buoyed by the support we had through our philanthropic revenue streams, which is a testament to the people's, the community's support for what we do. The amount we raised through fundraising in 2020 was about the same as it was in 2019, and you'll see in the graph in the report that I've sent, that was one of our best years for the last 4 or 5 years. So very happy about that. I'll wrap this up. I don't want to take up too much time, and I'll be happy to answer questions afterwards, but I just have to say how proud I am of our team here. We've undergone a huge amount of change this year, a whole lot of uncertainty, and the staff here have just been incredibly resilient. And also, of course, I'd give a shout out to the board of directors who do this on a voluntary basis. And it's one thing to be involved in an organization through a time of uncertainty, but then to also have your own personal life affected by what's going on. It's been difficult for everyone. So I want the board to know that I really appreciate all the time and effort you put into the organization. And also to our volunteers. And Dawn and Vivian are here, and they're probably gonna kick me next time they see me because I know they don't like the shout outs, but they've been rock star volunteers of ours for years and years. And we wouldn't be where we are today without Dawn and Vivian and other volunteers like them. So thank you to everyone for helping us through this year. It's been very much appreciated.
Graham, we've got a question.
Sure.
Jocelyn has asked if the education portion of our programming was developed by the SPCA, or was there a different program that we used?
We borrowed and stole from a lot of different places. We reached out to other shelters that we saw as doing things that better than we were, and asked them how they did it, and just stole from them. We also have some talented employees in-house that have a lot of experience in animal behavior and who really understand how the shelter works. And we were able to tap into their passion for what we do and to get that information out of their heads and create some stuff from scratch. So it was sort of a combination of those things. But we do rely quite heavily on the ASPCA, the American SPCA, for a lot of best practices. And we've been in touch with some of the folks from University of California in Davis who run the shelter medicine program. And they've given us some really amazing resources, and we're hoping to take part in a boot camp with them, with some of our key staff that will sort of prepare us to make some deeper changes here in the organization, how we train our staff and manage our animal populations. So, short answer, yes, we've borrowed and stolen from other sources and sort of created some things on our own.
All right, any other questions for Graham? No? I also just wanted to give a shout out to the auxiliary. I know they submitted a report that was passed out through the AGM, and to be able to still raise funds during the pandemic and contribute, their time and those funds raised to the organization is much appreciated as well to them. All right, moving on to our next item on the agenda is the presentation of our audited financials. So I'm going to introduce Jesse from PricewaterhouseCoopers to give us a rundown of the 2020 audit. I guess financial statements, not audit, both.
All right. Yes, thanks, Ali, and good evening, everyone. I will be fairly brief. I was worried when Graham started talking about finances that he would cover my only talking points that I had, but luckily he left them for me. So I just wanted to first start by saying thanks to the team at the SPCA, particularly Donna and Graham, for working so closely with us throughout the audit to get to the finish line. And of course, to the Finance Committee for making sure that we could meet in time and present everything and be ready for the AGM tonight. So thanks from us for that. Really just three items that I think I'll highlight from the audited financial statements, sort of three sets of numbers that I think are of particular importance and hopefully will tell the story of the year. So the first figure I'll mention is just the year-end sort of cash and investment position of the SPCA. So at the end of 2020, there was approximately, and I'll be doing some generous rounding here to the nearest 50,000 maybe, but $1.3 million of cash and investments that the SPCA had at the end of 2020. And that's up around $200,000 from 1.1 million the year before. And roughly 450,000 of that sits in operating accounts and 850,000 in the Redur funds. For the year, as Graham mentioned, despite the challenges of the pandemic, the organization was able to have a positive year financially. So there was an accounting surplus of about 170,000 for 2020, which was up from about 140,000 in 2019. The last set of figures I'll mention just strictly from a cash surplus basis. Again, there was about a positive 180,000 growth in the cash and investments year over year, compared to a positive 14,000 growth the year before. So I think those are the three sets of figures that I wanted to make sure and really highlight from the audited financials. Our signed auditor's report is attached to the financial statements and reads very similar to prior years. So just to give the members in the organization comfort that the financial statements do contain all the required disclosures and items, and they are compliant with financial reporting standards for charities in Canada. So I think I'll conclude my report with that, and again, happy to take any questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Jesse. So hopefully we all had a chance to review the audited financials. I will ask for a first and a seconder to approve the audited financial statements, and then I'll leave it open for questions and comments after that, and then we can vote on the approval of the financials if that works for everybody. So if someone wants to make that motion to approve the audited financial statements for 2020, thank you, Jane. And a seconder, Lily. And then I'll open it up for any questions on the audited financials. And thank you to PwC for providing such a thorough audit and being such a great, I want to say stakeholder, but not really, a partner for the organization over the last, what were we saying, maybe 8 years or so. It's been great.
I think it's been 8, yeah.
Yeah. All right, if I'm seeing no questions, then I will leave that vote and see how that stands when we are finished. I will just keep talking until it is carried.
So we have 14 out of 19, so I think I can end the poll. Or 15, okay.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right. And Jesse, don't feel like you have to stay on for the rest of the AGM. We will not be upset if you dip out. But thank you so much for attending, and thanks for presenting for us tonight.
Of course, and I probably will stay on. I usually like to, so thanks.
Sounds good. All right, I'm just gonna go back to my agenda screen. So that one is approved. Next motion is to appoint PwC as the auditor for the 2021 fiscal year. So I'll ask for someone to make that motion and for a seconder. Kevin making that motion. And Lily seconding. Yep. All right. And if you are in favor or opposed, submit your poll. I can't tell if this is faster than when we're all in the room together, putting our hands up and counting, or I feel like everybody is like so over the Zoom meetings, but perfect, that motion carries. But also like, I'm way more efficient when I can just meet and then like go back to my regular work 2 minutes later instead of like driving from downtown. So we'll see. All right, that motion carries. Next, we're going to move on to the election of the board of directors. So I'm going to call Mallory. Where are you on my screen? Mallory is, I'm going to call you the chair of the nominations committee. I don't know if we actually have a chair, but we have a nominations committee that takes care of analysis and finding new board members to join. So I'm going to let her do a little preamble into what that entails.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So there's actually no chair, but so we'll all take the credit. Anita, Sadie, and I were the nominations committee members this year. And the 3 sort of pillars we focused on were recruiting for HR, so someone with a human resources background, financial background, and also fundraising. So we think with this year's candidates, we did a good job recruiting, and that is really the people we see tonight are those people. That's not to say that the ones that the nominations committee didn't put forward weren't great candidates also, but we didn't want a whole bunch of people with the same skills, and you know, I think all of us collaboratively will do a really good job this year. Anita, Sadie, and I spent a lot of time going through resumes that came through to us individually or as board members, and also through our Indeed post as well. and we had a lot of interest this year. I think it was just under 20 different people, and in a short amount of time than past years. So I think we did a really good job, and we're all excited to hopefully welcome the new board members in a moment.
Perfect. Thank you, Sadie. Thanks, Mallory. Thanks, Mallory, Sadie, and Anita. Yeah, so a few years ago, I want to say maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe, we started using a matrix, we call it, where everyone on the board kind of gives themselves a rating from 1 to 5 on their skill level in accounting, human resources, veterinary skills, or fundraising, things like that. So as board members hit the end of their term or leave the board, every year we can kind of see where those gaps are in skills, and particularly search for candidates with those skills, to make sure we have a well-rounded, diverse board as we can, especially given different strategic directions we have. Just makes us more effective at what we're trying to accomplish. So I want to thank the nominations committee for what they have done. And at this point, let me refer to my notes. I have to, hold on, I just have to read a message. Yes, okay, I have to call for any nominations from the floor. And I will call for any nominations from the floor. I have to do it twice. And I will call for any nominations from the floor. I have to do it thrice times according to our bylaws. And with that, I need a motion to close nomination. So after this, we will bring up a sheet or a slide that has the nominees in it. And I am talking slowly because I am making sure in my head that I'm covering all the bases.
And Ali, do we need a motion, someone to,
Kevin here, I motion that nominations close.
and then a seconder?
Yes. Thank you, Trina. Kevin and Stephen. Second that. Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. So with that, we did have a meet and greet with the new nominees and past board members. We kind of just did a round table type thing where we talked about everybody's skills and a little bit of a bio of themselves. So we just did that last week. So everybody kind of got an idea of everybody else that's interested in joining the board. So that was just a week ago. And then our next motion is to approve the board of directors. Are we going to pull up, what do we have coming up? A list?
I think we want to, there are 3 board members who are running for a second or third term.
Yeah,
Do we have a list or do we just?
Sorry, Ali, I have a motion to approve the slate of directors seeking re-election.
Okay. Do you have the names on there, or do you just want me to say the names?
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to give them an opportunity to talk about themselves a little bit, but I don't have their names on the actual.
Oh, that's okay. No, that's fine. So we have 3 directors that are finishing up a term and seeking re-election for another term. So that's Chris, Anita, and Mallory. I'm speaking off the top of my head, so I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Like I said, we kind of already did our meet and greet and bios last week, and we're mostly all of the same people. So I will just let you pull up that motion to approve the 3 board members seeking re-election, Chris, Anita, and Mallory. If everybody's comfortable with me just voicing their names, we're good to go. They can wave. There. Perfect. Excellent.
Does that
All right,
need
so
to be moved and seconded? If so, I
That's
move.
good. Okay, thank you. This poll is messing me up. Okay, Stephen first and a seconder. Jocelyn, thanks. Okay, and that motion, I think it popped up and said carried. Okay,
It passed.
good. Okay, good. Thank you, Trina. Okay, next motion is we have, we probably don't have the names on here either, right? Just gonna pull this up here. We have the nominees from the nomination committee. So we have Karen, Lily, Jocelyn, Stephen, and Gordon. So those 5 people went through that nominations committee process and recruitment. So those are the board members that we have chosen to put for election to the board. So I will call for a motion to approve those 5 board members to join the board. And we will make sure to write their names in the motion. Paul, firsts and a seconder. Nicole? Perfect. All right. I'm just going to read that motion out loud so that we have it for the minutes. Motion to approve Karen, Lily, Jocelyn, Stephen, and Gordon to the board of directors. Perfect. Thanks, everyone, as I stumble my way through that one. All right. That's it. Perfect. I believe that's it. We closed nominations. We have board members elected, financial statements approved. That's everything. Anyone have any questions? Last minute comments?
I'd just like to say thank you, Ali, for your services. It's been a very short but very sweet time to get to meet and deal with you. I disappointed I don't get to spend more time with you, but thank you for your contributions. You've been a real role model for me to work towards.
Thanks, Kevin. Hopefully, when the pandemic has ceased and the events start back up again in person at the SPCA, we can all come together. I did the 5K walk last time. If you saw me in person, you wouldn't know if I could do a 5K, but I did it. I got some beers afterwards, though, from, I can't remember the company that sponsored the beer tent. I like to buy lots of things at the auction, the gala. So yeah, can't wait.
I think
Very
we're going to
account-
try. Oh, sorry. I think we're going to try to do a virtual dog walk event this year. So everyone will be able to participate. They can walk wherever they want, however fast, however slow.
Perfect. Sounds great. Okay, well, with that, I need a motion to adjourn the 2020 AGM. Anyone? Chris? I don't think I need a seconder for adjourn, so. Oh, okay, cool. We can